Welcome back to Treknopod, a seasonal short-form podcast hosted by two dads who love to talk Trek. I am Captain Vactor. With me each week, side by side, in our co-captain's chairs on the bridge of the USS Treknopod is Captain Schaff. Captain Schaff, how you doing?
I'm so good. I'm so glad I could be here. I wasn't 100% sure I'd be able to make this podcast episode, but I made it work because it's Star Trek Picard season 3, and the series is almost over, and I can't miss an episode. I can't miss it.
I am also happy that Captain Schaff was able to join us. We were going to have some guests on this episode, but we'll get to that a little bit later.
That's right. How are you, by the way?
Oh, I'm doing very well, except for my nose started running right before we started recording. Other than that, I'm doing great because this season of Picard has been fantastic.
Ooh, yeah.
We will definitely talk about that a little bit later. But I want to let everybody know that each week during New Trek, when there's a new show out, we're going to be dropping an episode focused on our thoughts of a current Trek TV show from the past week. Right now, as I alluded to, we are talking about Star Trek Picard season 3. Only one more episode left in season 3 of Picard. It has gone by very quickly, but Captain Schaff and I are very pleased with season 3 of Picard. So we want to let everybody know our thoughts. Now, let's talk. Let's get into our weekly mission with our penultimate episode discussion. Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 9, Vox. First aired April 13th, my birthday, 2023.
Yeah.
Directed by Terry Matalas, written by Sean Tretta and Kelly Rosetter. We want to put up a red alert right here. If you're not caught up on this episode, you definitely don't want to get spoiled. So come back after you've seen the episode, and we will be here waiting for you. Synopsis for this episode: a devastating revelation about Jack alters the course of Picard's life forever and uncovers a truth that threatens every soul in the Federation. The final battle begins as Picard and his crew race to save the galaxy from annihilation, but not without a gut-wrenching cost. Now, I said a little bit earlier we were originally going to have some special guests, but due to some time zone mix-ups, or I should say we could not align our time zones together. Our friends from Beer with Geeks, Frank and Tim, could not make it to the bridge, but they sent us a fantastic little snippet of their thoughts on the episode. So they are representing the lower decks of the USS Treknopod. They're going to give their thoughts on episode 9 of Star Trek Picard right now. So Ensign Tim and Ensign Frank Ramblings, take it away.
Welcome to the lower decks. I'm Ensign Tim, and with me is Ensign Frank Ramblings. How are you today?
Ahoy there.
Ahoy there, indeed. We are privileged to be here talking for a small snippet, 5 to 7 minutes. We are in control of the, let's face it, just the holodeck, not even the regular, not even the regular one, not even the bridge. So we're not allowed on the bridge. We're like Wesley Crusher, where you're not allowed to step off the elevator.
Shut up, Wesley.
Yeah, so we're like that. But anyway, we're here to talk about episode 9 of season 3 of Picard. Jean-Luc Picard. His entitled Vox. Frank, what did you think of this episode?
Oh my goodness. This gave me all of the Next Generation nostalgia feels. Like, this whole season obviously has been building as we sort of gather crew members, and now we have the final crew member who we've been missing, and that is the Enterprise D herself.
Mm-hmm. So really dumb, but I didn't even know I needed them on the Enterprise until they were like, I've got a ship. And I was like, why? Like, I was so happy they were all together on any ship. It didn't really matter to me until they were like, oh, wait, no, we're going to the Enterprise. And I was like, right, of course. Why wouldn't I want this? Why wasn't I expecting this?
Absolutely. Something about when the lights came on the bridge, like the way that set is lit versus how modern Trek bridge sets
Mhm.
are lit, where it's all dark. But this was like that 80s lighting,
Yep.
and Picard's gag about the carpeting. It was
You
just
know,
like, oh, we're home.
yeah. And it wasn't so much. I did notice it was lit a little differently because, like, if you watch, especially like first season TNG, it's like it's clearly there are fluorescents above them. They're like
Oh
key
yes,
lighting, everything's bright. There are no shadows. Um,
yes,
and this one was like, it's like soft mood lighting. It's like the under cabinet lighting in your kitchen or something like that.
yeah,
It
sure.
was like so cozy and pleasant, and I loved it.
Very
And
homey.
very homey and obviously intentional. And honestly, I think Picard's dig on the carpet was my favorite part of the episode. And in a great episode, is like, I realized what I was missing this whole time. The carpet.
The carpet.
It's so good. I love that stupid carpet. I
I
talk
know.
about it with my father-in-law all the time. Like, why wouldn't you want a carpet in there? Like,
Truly.
pushy, like it's your home. It's like it's basically your home. You don't want like to be in space for 5 years in this like sterile environment. Like
Yeah.
think about the the first Enterprise or Kirk's Enterprise. Think of how like bright that thing is.
Sure. Sure.
It's so colorful. Like, why wouldn't you want to be a little cozy when you're in space
Yeah.
for 5 years?
Definitely. Definitely.
Um,
So having the Enterprise back was just a delight and a treat. And seeing the whole crew assembled there on the bridge and like ready to, take on the next adventure, the next phase of this adventure,
mhm.
was just everything I wanted and more.
Phase. That was good. I think you did that on purpose. Um, I personally loved Deanna having something to do that just wasn't just like that. I think they're annoyed. Yes,
Yeah.
obviously they're annoyed. Thank you. You
Thank you,
see
counselor. Yeah.
on their face, counsel. Like she was like that was really like integral information that she had, so important, and I loved that very much.
Yeah.
And honestly, did you see the Jack twist coming?
I I had a feeling that this had something to do that they wanted his body, Picard's body, for Locutus.
Sure.
I had a feeling it had to do with that because why else would you want his old body?
Mhm. 'Cause he's
Um,
sexy? I don't know. Yeah.
the new one is no less. But anyway, I that aspect of it having to do something with the Borg, I somewhat suspected, but with Jack's involvement in it, I wasn't really sure where that was going to play in.
Sure.
Yeah,
I didn't really suspect it. I mean, I feel like I should have when like obviously it was like the like everything's connected and this and all these other things. I'm like, well, yeah, in retrospect, I feel like wow, that was obvious, and I feel sad that I didn't think of it. But I the Borg were not necessarily taken care of last season, but I felt like that was the send off for the Borg. So I'm a
yeah,
little surprised that we're here again, but
and that we're with the
obviously we
Borg
don't have
Queen again
right.
specifically, and that
Yeah.
it's and that I kind of felt like the Borg Queen had that storyline was sort of branched off in a new direction, and it seems like we're just gonna pretend that didn't happen.
I feel like we're not pretending it didn't happen. It's more like this is like we didn't see the Borg Queen's face. Isn't that so utterly important to us as an audience to note that it's
But it
not
was Vadek's
her?
voice, right? I
Sure.
thought it was Vadek's voice, so isn't it? I thought that it was just like that the changeling was taking the form of that was Vadek was taking the form of like what the Borg Queen. I don't know. That was how I took it, but I did think it was conspicuous that we didn't see the face. Obviously,
Mhm. Yeah, I all of it was we're not it's things are not quite as they seem
yes.
still.
Still,
And I love that. But Frank, we are mere ensigns, so we will not be figuring out this mystery in this little
Mm-mm-mm.
segment because we got to swap some decks or something. What other things?
Something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Any final thoughts on this episode?
I want to know what Worf did to the Enterprise E.
Okay, yeah, same. Truly. It's
That was not my fault.
it's mentioned in a book. But it's still you still don't know in the book what happened. So I would like to do, but I did love that bit quite a bit.
From what I understand, a future novel or comic will expand on that. But
Of course, I actually just started getting into Trek comics too, like because there's a whole new wave of them,
nice.
and they are really good.
Cool.
I recommend. Yeah. So Frank, anyway, great to see you as always. If anyone stumbles upon the lower decks, where can they find us?
Oh, beerwithgeeks.com is probably the best place to check us out. Co-captain Vactor has been over there, and we're gonna get co-captain Schaff over there as soon as we can.
For sure, they will come to our bridge. I guess we don't really have a bridge there. We're just a podcasting station.
We just drink a couple beers and talk about geeky stuff.
Yeah.
We don't really have a bridge.
No, we don't. No, but that's okay. We'll get one for Schaff. Anyway, until next time, Frank. Cheers.
Cheers.
Tim and Frank are the best. Hopefully, we can get our time zones to align.
Yes.
Let's see. We've had Frank on before. I don't think we've had Tim on before.
True. Yeah. Frank, we had him on for those that have those ears that can just pick up on a voice and like, I know I've heard that before. We had him on for our co-captain's commentary of Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. So, which was just a few episodes back. So you can check our episode listing for that. I don't have the mission number off the top of my head, but I will find it before the end of the episode. But man, they're both great, and I can't wait to have Tim on too. It's too bad it didn't work out, but they had some great points and some great opinions on the show, and I'm so glad they're enjoying the show just as much as we are.
Yeah, I think they're aligning with our thoughts on this entire season. So it's great to hear what they were thinking. And check out Beer with Geeks. They do a great podcast over there. They left their information in their little clip there. But thank you very much. And since Tim and Frank for giving us your thoughts. Now, let's get into Captain Schaff's thoughts on Season 3, Episode 9, Vox. Schaff, what did you think?
Well, first of all, I'm going to say I'm so glad I was not spoiled on this episode. I don't think that you were, and I certainly hope you weren't. But this is one of those episodes where it was like, I know I messaged you in the morning because I watched it early. And I was like, you don't don't get spoiled on this. There's a lot of stuff that goes down as we expected there to be. We predicted this episode was going to be pretty big because penultimate episodes always carry a heavy burden of really like ramping up to the climax of the story. And after that begins whatever the resolution is going to be. So penultimates are usually like the blockbuster episode. And this one was no exception. I loved it. It's just, as I keep saying, it's banger after banger. I not that I want the show to not be good, but I'm just like amazed that it is so consistently good. Because I mean, every show has episodes that just don't land quite the same. Maybe it's a combination of the director or the writers or the story that they crafted just wasn't up to snuff or whatever. But like this show feels like top to bottom, left to right, every working part of it was very carefully placed. There wasn't anything they just came up with on the fly, in the moment. That's not like the plot just sort of like, kind of like I would compare it to Lost, right?
Mm-hmm.
The show Lost may have had like an original plan, but they kind of just went off, the rails throughout the seasons until they came to their eventual conclusion. But like for a while, they didn't know what they were doing. As far as like the overall story, like, is it purgatory? Is it not? What's going on with the island? Like they were just kind of making stuff up as it went along and just keeping that mystery alive. But this season of Picard feels so calculated and careful, and everything is picked and used almost like the perfect chess game of pieces. So I love it. What did you think of episode 9?
Yeah, I also enjoyed this one tremendously. And I think the choice that they made to record or to film the seasons back to back really paid off. I think, as far as I know, I didn't see anything specifically, but I think it was to kind of make sure they had Sir Patrick for as long as they could.
Yeah.
Because this was after COVID and they were filming all these things back to back. I think that decision paid off and they were able to focus it, like you were saying, because I've seen shows like Lost week to week change where
Yeah.
like the example of Nikki and Paolo,
Oh my gosh.
where they reacted to the fans' reactions to it. I've seen many shows do that where they were trying to course correct for that. I think with this season of Picard, it all being one shot, like they did it all at once. It was one tight, cohesive thought.
Mhm.
And I got to give Terry Matalas credit specifically, but I think that cohesion has paid off. Now that could have also gone the other direction, but I think just the quality of this season, and I've been saying this, I think all season long, this season is what I wanted seasons 1 and 2 to be, really.
It's true.
Of
It's true.
Picard. So I think this episode was no different. It feels like a broken record coming back every week.
I know. I feel like we're
shills.
shills. You know, we're just nothing but nice things to say. But it's hard to find something wrong with something like this. And both of us are definitely pro nostalgia when it comes to this show. And I think that the only people who are not into this season are the ones who don't like fan service, who don't like, the idea, as they call it, nostalgia baiting. Like, it's a farewell season. What do you expect? Like, this is how it was meant to be. And honestly, like, every one of these powerful moments that is like an emotional response, it's a listening for us, is because of the lore that already exists, everything that already came before, that they're able to lean on and give new life and new purpose. And we saw a bunch of that, not just this episode, but this season. But this episode had plenty of great callbacks and great moments. So let's get into it.
Yeah, it's just a reward for all the fans who watched The Next Generation. So this is a mystery that's been going on this entire season of what is going on with Jack, the Red Door, his kind of strange powers that he has. Did you think this episode where we got right into it, the very beginning of the episode, we saw what was behind the Red Door and what Troy was helping him see. Did you think it was a satisfying conclusion of that mystery?
I'm kind of torn on that, because to me it feels like the most obvious choice, but also I gotta say, like, I was not sure what was going to be the case for Jack. Like, I feel like they left some breadcrumbs, yes, but throughout the season, because the Borg have definitely, you felt their influence. I would say even since the first episode, right? Mm-hmm. Like, the presence of the Borg, whether or not they were name dropped or not, like that, it was something. Like Wolf 359, that whole battle, that was a massive part of Shaw's backstory. Like, that's a huge part of things. And then you've got his relationship with Seven of Nine. Then you've got just so much happening in the story that they're leaning on. And I'm like, I guess making Jack be part Borg makes sense. And then you think about it from the standpoint of that they did a little bit of a retcon there, and that he's inherited this organic Borg tech from Jean-Luc Picard. And then they're able to sort of retcon the idea that because First Contact, he's able to still hear the Borg, and that's how he stops them, during that battle at the beginning of the movie. And we're all like, how does he still hear the Borg if he had all those implants taken out? And that was never really fully explained. And now, like, they use that as an opportunity. And I think that's brilliant. Because even though it is a retcon, it doesn't bother me. Like, because it makes sense. They thought it through. And I'm like, this is okay. This is just extra context we didn't have before. So just fascinating to me. Is it a little bit of a letdown that he's just part Borg and not something more? Maybe something more, what's the word? Exotic, I guess you could say. Like something that it is completely like mind-blowing. That is the only letdown for me, is I feel like from a satisfying conclusion, I wondered, like, people were like, is he a Pa Wraith? Is he still a changeling, secret agent of sorts? Like there were a lot of really wild theories going around, but basically making him part Borg feels the most appropriate.
Yeah. And I can't remember if it was you or somebody, or maybe I was reading some theory online. They were saying, hey guys, it's probably going to be the most obvious answer. It's not going to be something we never thought about. So I remember going into it with that in the back of my mind, saying you don't want to be disappointed because it's probably not going to be some out there thing. But I was like, there's always that chance.
Yeah,
it could be. But
like,
I think, oh, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you, but our Trek Talk community definitely have been weighing in, and we actually had a message from one of our dear fans, John Daranowski. I'm not calling him out in a bad way. He was sharing a really wild theory is what I called it, because it was like something I didn't even consider. And I loved that because like our gears were turning, like it could be anything. And he was thinking that Jack Crusher might be part of species 8472, which was a species that we saw on Voyager. And they had a resistance to the Borg. There was a whole thing going on there between them. And so he was thinking there was going to be a species 8472, which would have been a cooler reveal as well. So even though it's not the case, I love that we were really trying to get creative with our theories on that.
Yeah. So I think having it be the Borg is a good thematic bow with Picard, and the Borg being such a huge part of his life. I think that was a fitting end. Although with the Borg Queen being in season 2, right? When that I think diminishes it a little bit, because it's like, oh, we already saw the Borg, and there was already that, what we thought was going to be the conclusion of that Borg storyline. So having in this episode, to me, it was a little bit. I wish if there was nothing in season 2 and this had been like. Now, it was still a surprise. It would just been more of a surprise to me that, oh, we hadn't even heard of the Borg, in all 3 seasons. And now they're all of a sudden back. But that actually brings up another point, which I wanted to ask you about. How are they going to tie up so many threads before the end of this series? Because the next episode is the series finale.
Yeah.
And there's just like, we're going to get into like all of the different things, but there is so many questions that they have to answer. And I don't think it's a 2-hour episode. I think it's just going to be a regular running time on that. So I'm very curious to see how they do that. But Shoff, the Borg are back.
Yes, they are.
And even though Frank had his theories on it, it was confirmed in the credits that was Alice Krieg back as the Borg Queen.
Yep.
Doing her voice. Now, we didn't see the face. We just saw the back. And
in the credits, there is a double. So it is a Borg Queen double. So it's not her in that for that scene, but it is definitely her voice we're hearing. It's her voice. It wasn't her voice all the time for like Jack's visions and such. That was Beverly Crusher, but the concept was still there. Mother, the mother figure, and in many ways, but the Borg Queen even, I think, kind of looks at Jack as her son in that regard too. So it's definitely. It's appropriate. It's great that the Borg are back. It makes perfect sense. I do think having the Borg in season 2 cheapens things a little bit. Especially since we know that the Jurati Borg are still out there somewhere. Right. And all this is going down with like the Borg aligning with the changelings. And are we saying that the Jurati Borg don't know about this?
Yeah, I wonder if she's going to come back. Like, it would not surprise me
if they were like a Deus Machina kind of a situation. Yeah,
because we haven't seen her this whole season, and she was such a huge part of seasons 1 and 2. It'd be difficult for me to think, oh yeah, she just never appears in season 3 at all, and that maybe that's something with the actor that she didn't want to come back, or whatever. But I haven't seen anything specifically, so keep your eyes peeled, folks, for next week. We'll see if she comes back.
The only reason why I question whether that's going to be the case is because in many ways she was the character that appeared in the finale episode of season 2 as sort of like the one who's going to solve this problem. Like,
Right.
So having her show up again in the finale as a Borg Queen again, like I'm just like, it would make sense for her to be there, but I kind of feel like this is going to be a thing where because of Jack's humanity and how he was raised and that he's only part Borg, I feel like he's going, just like he planned all along. He says like, I'm gonna convince her that I'm a part of this, but I'm not. Like we think that he hasn't resisted or won't be able to resist, but maybe he'll have more control than he thinks. And being voice, he's a transmitter, not a receiver, as Locutus was, as they talk about. Maybe that will give him some additional abilities and powers that he could end up even controlling the Borg Queen. That would be something. So
yeah, we'll see what happens. R.I.P. We got a couple that passed away in this episode. Shaw.
yeah,
We saw the end of Captain Shaw, which I think this entire season we had like a roller coaster ride with him, where we didn't like him, then we did like him. I thought he was going to get. There was talk of like a spin-off show of him.
Yeah.
And as soon as he bit the dust, I turned to my wife and I said, well, there goes that spin-off.
Or maybe it'll be a Seven Rafi spinoff. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see that 100%, especially with the fan reaction.
But I wouldn't want that. I hate to say it. And the reason why I wouldn't has nothing to do with them being like lesbians or anything like that. Like for me, I just don't think they have a lot of chemistry. Like as we've seen in season 2, like it didn't land for me. And when they were kind of spending a lot of time apart this season 3, and we had Raffi paired with Worf, that was a pairing where the chemistry was strong. So like, if anything, if they're going to do a spinoff, I hope they do it and pair the characters accordingly where this chemistry is the best.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'd rather see a Worf spinoff myself and continue Michael Dorn's streak of the most Trek appearances. So that would be cool.
Absolutely. That would be great. That would be great. Yeah, but we had to say goodbye to Captain Shaw. Part of me is not convinced he's gone, because I felt like it was kind of I know it was heroic way to go, but it wasn't that heroic. Like
Right.
he was just killed by some random young, maybe even an ensign who has been converted to a drone, and by phaser fire. Like it was, I guess what I had hoped for if he was going to go, that it would be something more grandiose, like that his sacrifice would be greater. Something kind of like, this is a spoiler for Mandalorian this week, but the character Vizsla. Paz, is it Paz?
Yes.
Yeah, Paz Vizsla. Basically, like, to protect the rest of the Mandalorians, like he's going to try and take out all of these Beskar armored stormtroopers, and or they're droids, right? They're like,
I think they're stormtroopers.
okay,
yeah.
But he basically has to sacrifice himself, but he does it in a way that I think is just a much grander exit. And I think I would have preferred that for Shaw based on how much he's come through in this season. So that to me is the only thing about his death that kind of bothered me, is I wanted him to have a much bigger goodbye, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I can see
but then speaking of deaths and goodbyes and hellos and goodbyes, we had another character, and this is a character from The Best of Both Worlds, a 2-parter episode. I forget the actress's name, but she played the character Shelby, Commander Shelby, and then she's now a vice admiral, or a fleet admiral. I'm sorry, Fleet Admiral Shelby. But she is back, and she's commanding the Enterprise F, which was the first time we get to see the F, which is awesome.
Elizabeth Denny.
Elizabeth Denny. Thank you.
Or Denny.
It was great to see her, but she was on for just a split second before she was gunned down through phaser fire by people on the bridge, because anybody under 25 years old who has used a transporter in Starfleet has been assimilated into a Borg drone. Sorts.
What did you think about that? That them choosing that 25 age?
Well, from like their scientific, like medical jargon, they sort of based it off of the development of that. Was it prefrontal cortex or something?
Right.
Something that has to do with the brain.
Yes.
That after a certain age, it doesn't develop anymore. And so like they were saying that was how it was calculated. But whatever like they needed to make it make sense, that didn't bother me. What was, I think, the best part about that is that it made the choice to have the original cast come back be something more than they're just a bunch of old people.
Right.
And this is not an ageist thing for me to say. I'm just saying, like, they in the show, like, they're constantly referred to as like, oh, you've gotten older, you're gray, your face is, there's many wrinkles, blah, blah, blah. Like, age has been a major factor in this, that they are the older generation. They are dinosaurs in the scheme of things. Many of them have settled down, had families, are off like just hanging out in museums all day. Their lives have changed dramatically. But then you've got this situation now with the Borg where they've been able to assimilate anybody under 25, and now suddenly this older generation becomes vital and key. And if most of Starfleet is comprised of young aspiring ensigns and things like that, especially with these new ships, that doesn't leave much in the way of who's going to help save the day. And who is left? This OG crew, this group of old men and women, or older men and women, who we already have such an attachment to and chemistry with, and we've been with them on all their adventures however many years ago, 30 years ago. It's just amazing. So
yeah.
It really like created a nice way to make age matter on the show, and be not just like, why do we care what these old people are doing in space? Like, it has to be the old people, because if the old people are going to be the ones to save the day, they've got to, the last generation has to save the next generation.
Yeah. Very nicely put, Shoff.
Thank you.
Speaking of the next generation, we got, Shoff, the final piece of the next generation crew assembled in this episode. The Enterprise D.
Ooh.
And when they were going to it, I turned to my wife and I was like, they're going to reveal the original ship that they had on the show. And she was like,
was she watching this whole episode with you, by the way?
She was like
in the room.
She was on her phone. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
But
nice.
When they unveiled it and the music, started to swell, it was like, this is what I wanted the entire time. And like you said, the nostalgia, it just hit me. I was like, this is what I wanted out of this show.
Yes.
So it was great seeing, because more so, I think, than any ship, that Enterprise is the one that I had associated with Star Trek.
Oh yeah.
Over the original series, and anything that came after it was this Enterprise that in my head I was like, that's what Star Trek is. That's what Star Trek looks like to me. Just because of the time period I think that I grew up in. So seeing the D was very good, Shoff. What'd you think?
We got the D and we also got F'd. So it was a great time. Great time to be had. The D, it looked great. I liked what Tim and Frank were talking about with the idea that the lights, it was the lighting was so different on the D than coming from the Titan A, where everything's dark. Like all the newer Trek ships, everything's very dark and brooding and minimal light. And then you go onto the bridge of the D and it's like, okay, can we turn it down a little bit?
The carpet.
Okay, the carpet line, I gotta say, I felt like it fell a little bit flat. I didn't love it. I didn't mind it so much that it was there, even though I felt like that might be like them taking their time, sort of like soaking in being back on the D. Like, yes, I get it, because it's also a moment for us to soak up being back on the D. But let's not forget the circumstances that are happening around them and the reason that they need to take this older ship, because the Borg are about to assimilate all of the Earth. They're about to destroy space dock, and they're like kind of just enjoying the moment, and to the point where Picard has time to quip about the carpet. Like, I was thinking, I think we're forgetting about what's about to go down here. Maybe we should have a little bit more pep in our step, a little more urgency. That was my only gripe with that scene. But I appreciate it because I knew that it had to be a moment that they could lean into a little bit and give everyone a moment to soak up this amazing thing that we never thought we would see again. I mean, the D was destroyed. It was broken up into 2 pieces. The saucer section crashed on Viridian 3. So
Yeah.
it's just
I
so
love
great.
the explanation that Geordi gave.
Prime directive,
Yeah.
which was kind of like, in retrospect, like, yeah, everybody knows. Like, if you're a Starfleet, you know about the prime directive. Of course, they couldn't leave that there, but it's cool that Geordi has been sort of like working on that in his quote unquote garage for the past however many years, like as if it was some muscle car or something, you know. Like, that's so cool. And so
great.
fitting for Geordi as the engineer to have that. So I loved it. I loved seeing the D. It looks amazing. It's probably was not a model anymore. I'm sure it was just pure visual effects. Whereas the show, of course, was using, you know, a lit model and things for much of it. But still, it looked incredible. I can't wait to see how it interacts with the rest of the ships. I do have to say this because I'm a huge Battlestar Galactica fan, but the idea of machines attacking humanity and all the and the machines having the upper hand because of humanity's ships all being interconnected via a network, just like on Star Trek, and then having them have to basically find refuge in a ship that's older and analog and isn't connected to the network. That is BSG all the way. That is absolutely, it's the D is the Galactica and the Borg are the Cylons, and it's all there. Like, we've seen this before, but it still makes perfect sense. But I do recognize, I'm like, this is pretty well lifted from BSG, but it does make sense. But still, I had to call that out.
Yeah. Now, as I alluded to earlier, all of these questions are still lingering in the air. How are they going to resolve everything in just one episode? Because I thought, you know, we would be sprinkling these questions throughout the season and then they'd be getting resolved.
Yeah.
But doing everything here, leaving so many things, because we've got, I think the Vatic question is gone, but we still don't know, like, who was, like, was it the Borg Queen that was talking to Vatic the whole time?
I think
now
that's
that
the
think about it.
assumption.
Okay.
I kind of wish there had been some kind of a scene to help make that more clear, but I think the assumption is yes.
And what do the Borg need Jack for?
Yeah.
That I thought it was a little bit convenient the way that his powers lined up, but I don't know how the Changeling Borg alliance, you know, was formed or how that makes sense. Obviously, hopefully we'll get the answer in the next episode. But what is Jack's part in their connection between those two? Because he was necessary. They were looking for him the whole series, or I should say season, and they finally got him. You know, Vadic's basically sacrificed her life to get Jack. He's finally here at the Borg Queen's cube. So how does he play? How does he fit into that?
My only thoughts are, so we know that he can control other people. Like, he can sort of mentally assimilate people to do his, to do his bidding, to move as he wants them to, without them being like fully assimilated drones. Like as soon as he like lets up his control, they're back to normal. But we know that the crew, anybody under 25 that's used a transporter, they've got that in their system. So my thought is, well, maybe he's there to sort of get the rest of them. Like if he's able to mind control anyone, then he just needs to take on the bodies of those that didn't go through a transporter or haven't been changed and convince them to do so. And that would cause them to become Borg drones. Or alternatively, that the stragglers, he can then, as the voice, he can control them and send their ship a certain spot or whatever. Like, I feel like he's sort of like the relief hitter or something like that, you know?
Yeah, I can
That's
see
my
that.
guess, but otherwise I don't really get it. And also like the idea of the changelings and the Borg working together, part of me wonders, well, maybe that alliance isn't as strong as it seems. Because like, to me, I wouldn't be surprised if in order to beat the Borg, maybe they would have to, Federation might have to like align themselves with the changelings or something. Like this is a rogue group of changelings. Maybe the other changelings that are not rogues would want to help out the Federation and then help. I don't know. Like, I just feel like that alliance has gotten them this far. Oops, excuse me. But what business do the changelings have now? Like nothing.
Right.
Like they infiltrated Starfleet for what?
Yeah.
For what? So they could walk, like, I just don't get their role in this anymore now that, unless it was really just to get into Daystrom, like if that was all along what it was about. Because really it's the assimilation was all Borg tech. So the changelings infiltrated Starfleet so they could put the Borg tech in, and then, in the transporter system. I guess that's how it's working out. But yeah.
And that was like, a long con of the changelings and that plan. But how do you wrap it up? Like you've had these in the timeline of the show, multi-year, maybe decades of them doing that. The Borg coming together. So how do you stop the changelings? How do you stop the Borg? What is going to be the next generation crew's fate? How are they going to? Is anyone going to die?
Yeah. Do you think we're going to get out of this with all cast members alive? I don't think so.
Yeah, especially
if anybody's going to go, I think it's going to be Picard.
Yeah, right.
Because I think he's going to do what he has to save his son.
Well, that would be the heroic death and also a fitting into his time with Trek. Sir Patrick Stewart. So yeah, I could see that. The only one I think, to me, in my mind, is safe is Worf because I want a Worf spinoff. So he's the only one specifically.
See, I think the only safe one is Data because we've already seen him die like twice. So I feel like if they do it again, I think they're going to like receive a lot of ridicule. So I feel like, or maybe it'll be a situation where it's Jack and Data and Picard. Data saved Picard's. He traded up basically, and he saved Picard by sacrificing himself in Nemesis. So, maybe it'll be a reversal on that. Like now to save Data, Picard. I really don't feel like Picard is coming out of this alive. Yeah, I would be shocked if Jean-Luc Picard lives through this.
Yeah, well, maybe Jack is the other one that is safe. I think they wouldn't introduce him just to kill him off in this season. So yeah, but how do they save Jack? How do they get him out of the Borg clutches? How do they save every Starfleet individual under 25? How do they save all of those people? I think Geordi's daughters are safe. Those are ones that I think are going to come out alive. But the way that they ended this was just like the Empire Strikes Back ending of everything is screwed. Everybody's like, nobody's got out of this episode like really good. Everybody had some issue or something that they had to take care of. So I think all of these lingering questions are up in the air of how do you solve them. But Terry Matalas, I have faith. They've written, I told you this in the beginning. I had heard people already had watched all 10 episodes, and they said, hey, this is a great season. So people who had advance copies of this, I think, have already confirmed that it does not, poop the bed. The ending is good. They stick the landing. So I'm pretty sure we're going to like the next episode, but it's just like, how do they, that was my thought when the credits rolled. I was like, how are they going to solve all these things? The entire Starfleet is pointed at, like, they're all working as one weapon. How do you stop all of that? But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Woohoo! I'm so thrilled for this.
Yeah, next week is going to be very good in the star, in the star things, because we've got the Mandalorian finale for Star Wars. We've got the Picard finale for Star Trek. So the star families are going to have some good things next week.
Do you have any other finale theories? So I want to put it out there before, so that, if we're right, we can really like lean into that and just like soak up our brilliance for a moment.
Well, I'm very bad at doing predictions. I don't have anything specifically. Like I said, I just want my boy Worf to come out good and set him up for his own show, that he can go off and have some samurai ninja adventures with Ruffy or without. I just want Worf. That's all I want. So.
I'd be okay with that. Yeah, my theory is Picard does not make it out. I'm not sure that the D will make it out either. Maybe Picard will go down with the ship. Maybe it'll be a situation like that. Would be very poetic, I think. Other theories.
I think this is going to be the best way to go out. Much better than it was. Nemesis was the movie. Last time we had seen the TNG crew, right? I think
all of them together. Yeah.
I think this is going to be a way better finale than Nemesis.
Agreed. Yeah. I don't want Geordi to die. Geordi cannot die. I'm not okay with that. He's got 2 kids in Starfleet, but also I just don't want to see Geordi die ever. So, I'm just so excited to see what happens. Now we may not be recording as we typically do, which would be recording the day after the day after the episode airs, or sometimes we even record on the day of the episode airing. Right now, Captain Vactor is looking for some help and coverage for his little cadet.
Yeah.
Ezra. Depending on if we're able to get some support and help in regards to watching him and whatnot, then we may be recording the finale episode on the Friday after the episode airs. But in the event that we don't, we will make sure to get the episode out the following week. So we might allow a little bit of a burn period for all of us to recover and come to our senses after this exploding finale that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But just want to put that out there for our listeners to know what to expect.
Yes. So we thank you very much for listening or watching. If you're on YouTube, don't forget we are on all the social medias that matter. How about that? TikTok and YouTube, we are at Treknopod. You can subscribe and leave us some comments, interact with us, because those are the ones that I think we get the best engagement on. So TikTok and YouTube are going to be our video focuses from now on. But you can also rate and review us in the audio platforms, iTunes and Spotify. iTunes, I always say iTunes, Apple Podcast and Spotify. You can rate us, give us 5 stars, which also helps us out, and let all of your Trek-loving friends and family know that Captain Schaff and I, Captain Vactor, are here to talk Trek on Treknopod. As Schaff said, next episode is going to be the finale of season 3 of Picard. Our bodies are not ready, Schaff.
Not ready.
We're going to have to go positronic for the next episode and get out of our bodies, because it's going to be the end of the series. But don't fear, because we have some plans with Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks. We got some great Trek content coming. So don't fear, even though this is the end. It's not the end. We're going to continue our boldly going journey on this podcast. So I believe our mission of the week is complete. Now boldly go and have a great week.
And live long and prosper. Yeah.